Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Paranormal Guys. Yeah. I'm a little late. You have to bear with me. I'm working with witches here, okay? I can't do everything at once. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope everybody's having a great night and a great evening. Great, that's the same damn thing. I hope everybody's doing well. How about that? Let me just bring out my co-host so I don't say something stupid.
Hey, everybody.
So I've been chatting back and forth with our first guest, and she's having technical difficulties, and I'm not sure. She just sent me a message that said, "Forget it, I tried." So it may just be the first hour. I don't know. I'm not clear on that. So
that's okay. You got this.
I can handle it. Hello, Wendell. And
hey, Wendell.
We got Kirsten. Hello, Kirsten. Is that Kirsten?
Yeah.
And we got so we got a few people in the chat here. Welcome, everybody. Well, you know what? We ad lib. I talk for an hour every day on this thing. I can just let you talk for an hour, and you are a witch. So
there we go. That was the theme for tonight.
Yeah. Just don't cast a spell on me, please. So
no, I would never do that.
Is that still a thing? Can you do that? You
can. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, one of the best spells I ever did was actually getting rid of someone.
Oh. Okay.
Out of my life, you know? Yeah.
You'll have to tell me more off there. Okay, I see Melissa's backstage. Let's see if she can hear us. Melissa, can you hear us? Can you see us?
Sounds like she has a bad connection.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't see any Wi-Fi on her thing. That's it. It's your Wi-Fi. It's your Wi-Fi. That's what it is. Let me tell her that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's your Wi-Fi. She might. Well, if I recall, some hair. What are you talking about? I'm working on getting it down long. Her wife's already yelling at me, Wendell. She wants me to shave and cut my hair. So, Salty Dog, we have missed you. How have you been?
Hey, you have returned. Welcome, and Salty.
Chris is back too. Chris was here on my afternoon show. Salty, you were probably at work, but I have a 1:00 show now, so you should check it out. Yeah. So that is a thing. I didn't realize that. I know my daughter talks about putting people in the freezer. So
yeah. You can get a voodoo doll pretty cheap, and you just take like something personal of that person, like a strand of hair or something. You attach it to the voodoo doll, and you throw it in a trash can, dumpster, pretty close to like it was somebody at work that I needed to get away from me. So I threw it in the dumpster at work, you know, and that's it. You just attach that string of hair to the voodoo doll, toss it, and they go out with the doll.
That was it. There was a fiery crash, and nobody asked any questions. All right.
Very simple.
Do not cross Amanda.
They actually ended up getting fired. But I was trying to kind of help them while doing that too, because I knew they were going to end up getting fired. The manager wouldn't listen to me about what was happening. And then it caused a bigger mess because then someone called and complained on that person for a very illegal thing they were doing at work. So I was also trying to help them by getting them gone without them actually being fired, but it didn't work. They got fired before. So,
well, at least they didn't die in a fiery crash. So
no.
Welcome to Virginia. He says it's 60 in the days and 20 at night. Yeah, it almost hit 80 here today. Good Lord.
Yeah, it was 70 here, like 71.
It's fake. It's fake. It's not going to last. So
it's supposed to be like 40s and rain tomorrow, but then back up the next day. So it goes back and forth right at the end of February and beginning of March.
Gotcha. Salty says he's busy attending to life, but he's still an SOB. Well,
you are not Salty. You always think I don't like you, but you're a good person. I know it.
Uh-oh. Be careful, Salty. She's putting people in freezers. So It's 70 in Oklahoma, according to Soul. Let's see what we have.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, she
I'll
said.
take 70.
Yeah, you need Wi-Fi. Had that. Oh, yeah, no Wi-Fi, and that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bad thing. Remember, we ran into that. Well, was it you or was it Cheyenne? We ran into that with. It was. What's his name? The guy that did the Robin Williams impersonator. Hold on a minute. Here we go. Hold on.
Okay. I wasn't here for that.
Never. She's here. Hello. Can you hear us? Can you see us? I can't hear you, but I can see you. Your microphone is off. Your microphone is muted, but you've actually got great signal. According to your little orange bar up there, you have perfect signal, but your mic is muted. There's a button on the screen that's a microphone, and if you press mute and unmute, it'll unmute. Wait, maybe I can do that. Hold on, let's try it. Hold on. Can you hear us now? Can you say something?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I unmuted you from here, so I do have.
Okay, good. Finally.
Welcome. And she's gone. Oh. What is I missed something in the.
Can you hear me?
Well, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes, on both. Yes.
Okay, great, awesome. Okay, now we're good.
All right. We're cooking now. So, what was the problem?
I think it was Wi-Fi. I think the connection in this house just sucks.
Yeah, at least sometimes it does suck and get you. That is one thing, you have to have great Wi-Fi.
We don't have very good Wi-Fi here.
Yeah, I had to have a wire. What do they call it? Fiber installed. So yeah,
we have Xfinity here, and it sucks. I mean, the TV's constantly dropping, the Wi-Fi's constantly dropping. It just sucks.
Yeah. It sucks, but at least you're here for now. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a psychic medium. I've been that way all my life. I was born with it, so it just is. I'm a author, actress, energy healer, genealogist. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time.
Well, so was it hereditary? Was it something you had to train? So
it's hereditary. Yeah, no, it's hereditary.
Okay. And so I'm sorry, man, that background noise sounds like a lion roaring in my ears.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I guess your parents or your mom or your dad had the
both of them have it, but they deny it and refuse it. So they're too afraid to do anything with it.
Well, I gotta admit, I would be. Amanda here is our resident witch, so
hello.
Hello.
Witch here too. I am a witch by genetics. Nothing I can do about it. It just is. So,
Well, but you don't go around casting bad spells on people.
No. Nothing like that.
How far back does it go in your family?
It goes back, let's see, 14 generations. I'm Cromwell by 14 generations, so it goes back that way. And on another line, it's back 9 generations. And then on my mom's side, they're Gypsy, and I only recently found this out, but there's also all that 9th generation that's Wicca. I think it's Wicca. They are also Gypsy. I just recently found that out. And then there's Shaman, 16 generations direct lineage. So it goes all over the place.
Nice. That's really cool.
Well, educate me. What's the difference between You said shaman and witch. What's the difference in all that?
Well, to me, it's all the same thing because it all kinds of blends together. You see what I'm saying? I don't know for sure what the exacts are on it, but I know they're all nature based and work with spirit and nature and all that stuff. To me, it all kind of blends together. So I don't really know what the difference is.
Okay.
And then there's 15 generations on that direct line, 16 generations. There's also one generation down is Celtic. So there's some Druid back there somewhere, and I don't know where that is, but I know it's there. So we've got that. And like I said, everything just kind of all blends together. And so I don't really know what the difference is. I just know to me, they're kind of all the same.
They do have a lot of same beliefs and everything, so it does start to cross uh, beliefs and everything the further you look into it.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Yeah. Someone asked if you had ever been to Salem.
No, I've never been there, but heaven knows I want to go. I want
Yeah.
to go. I do feel drawn there to a point. But my heart and my soul reside in New Mexico and Arizona.
New Mexico is really far from Salem, so it would be hard to get there.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Much
it's
warmer
closer
too.
to me, so yeah.
Yeah,
Much
we
warmer.
plan on being in Salem for Halloween this year. We want to do the whole
Oh,
costume thing
cool.
and be
Right
there for
on.
Halloween.
Right on. I'm probably going to be on the road filming for a documentary I'm doing probably at that time. So,
Oh, nice. What documentary is it?
well, I don't know what the name is going to be yet. I still have to
Okay.
discuss that with my production team, but
Yeah.
it's going to basically kind of intermarry both my present life and my past life and all of my experiences with it and everything that goes along with it and kind of I guess advertise my first book and then the upcoming books that succeeded. So
Nice.
What was your books about?
my book is basically my entire life in and around and with the paranormal, but it kind of blends the connection between my current lifetime and my past lifetime, what I'm here for, and what I'm accomplishing.
Hmm. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
So when you
It's
say
going to
what
be
you're
really cool.
so when you say what you're here for, you already know a path. I guess is that what you're trying to say?
I already know my recent two past lives, yes.
Oh wow, that's crazy. I've always wondered about that. How you find out about your past lives?
Hmm.
Mine came to me when I was about 13. Um, I got contacted by who I now know as my cousin in this lifetime. I was his wife, first wife, I should add, in my most recent past life by none other name than Billy the Kid. Yes, and there is a marriage record, by the way. It is public record. Anyone can find it. And it is New Mexico Catholic Archdiocese, February 11, 1871. She is listed as head of household.
Wow,
Wow.
Yeah,
That is
true thing.
awesome.
And I have the proof to it. So, yeah.
that is cool. Yeah, I saw in your bio that you're also a genealogist. So
Yes. I've been doing that since I was 13, and I have 35 years in the field, and I'm damn good at it.
Wow. I
I
may
can't.
have to reach out to you because my dad was left on the doorstep, and we think we know who his parents were, but we're not sure. And my dad's been gone for like 16 years now, but we never found out who his parents were.
Get the records unsealed. It's in a courthouse somewhere.
Hmm.
Get the records unsealed. It is in a courthouse. I feel that really intensely.
Yeah. I would love to find out.
When you use your psychic skills, I know some people can see and it's like they're almost in we'll call it a dimension because I don't know what to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the way it is with you, or does it just come to you?
Yes. I can actually see the spirits I'm talking to, and they just appear. And I see them like I see anybody else.
Oh, wow. So, do they just come
Yeah.
to you? I've heard some people that were psychic say it's like we almost have a light on and they just know to come to us.
Yes, that's true.
Wow. What's the strangest one you've had?
Oh my God. I've had so many odd things happen. I couldn't pick out one from another, but I've had a couple of really intense, very frightening experiences I have, and it was just like it was hair raising, I'll have to admit. There was one time I was in Lincoln, New Mexico. I was just a tourist there. I walk in, we pay our money, get everything all, squared up. And I don't mind donating money to places like this because I know what it means to upkeep, historical locations. Um, so an entrance fee is really not a problem for me. And I'm like walking around, just kind of looking around. I feel two hands on both of my shoulders. I feel a hand on each shoulder. And this is a male energy I'm feeling. I can't see who this is because they're behind me, But I feel a hand on each shoulder. And these hands pushed me up the stairs to the second floor of the Lincoln County Courthouse, what was known as the house back then for the Santa Fe ring. And they pushed me into the room where Billy, or who they thought was Billy anyway, and there's another story behind that, where him, or who they thought was him, uh, was, was basically put into to be held until hanging, as it were. Well, I happen to know that I believe it was Billy's cousin who looked exactly like him, Tom McCarty, that actually switched places with Billy and did everything Billy got the blame for. And Billy was 500 miles away gambling in another city. So basically, I was in that room and I was pushed to where there was a little plaque that had Billy's name on the arrest record, you know. And I said, yes, I know. I already have this in my collection. And I do. I already have it. And um, all of a sudden I hear a noise off to my left, maybe about 50 to 75 feet, maybe 100 feet to my left. I look over, there's a swirling mass of black and red. I'm going, uh oh. I knew something was wrong. And out steps John W. Bell, Bob Ollinger, and Pat Garrett with their guns drawn and their eyes glowing red. And I immediately put my hands up. I go, no, 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 no. I am not him. I am his cousin. I am his cousin. I'm not him. I'm 100 times worse than him, but I ain't him, you know? And so I very slowly back away, watching them, keeping an eye on their guns that were pointed right at me. I goes, oh boy. I'm like, no, 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 I don't want this. I don't want this. No, 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 no. This is not right. No, 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 you know. And so as soon as I hit the doorway, I back out. I just jam down the hallway, fly down the stairs, grab my now ex-husband and said, we got to go. We got to go now. And I mean it. It's not safe here. We got to go. We've got to go. And he goes, but I'm looking at something. I said, I don't care. We got to go now. We can come back. There's still plenty to look at. It'll still be here. And so I get him to the truck and I tell him everything. He goes, you saw what? I goes, uh-huh. Yeah. And by this time, I'm wheezing. I'm out of breath. I'm scared half to death. I mean, I'm like, what the,
Wow. So do you really think that could have harmed you, though? Is it possible for them to?
That's entirely possible with what was going on. That is possible. I don't know how. I don't know why. I believe it. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's all it takes is the belief.
And then another incident, I was working in Arizona at a museum, what used to be a mortuary and funeral home. Yeah. And they had a Native American exhibit, and I heard some noises coming from that room. I knew nobody was there. I look around, I go, hello, kind of looking around, make sure nobody's in the building because nobody's supposed to be there. Okay. I feel an energy that's right in front of me. I mean, like almost face to face with me, And all of a sudden I feel this energy back up and then start straight for me, and it runs directly through me. I mean, never have I ever been chilled straight to the bone like that. I mean, it was a kind of cold you remember for the rest of your life. I had to sit down because I felt like my knees were about to buckle, and I was shivering so badly. And it was hotter than you know what. It was hotter than blazes in the building, but I was freezing. I know that sounds crazy, but it's absolutely true.
Wow, but you never saw it.
Never saw it, but I could feel it.
Wow.
Now, that's not all that happened to me. There was the ghost of the mortician. I only saw him one time, but this guy twice made me shut down the entire facility. And on the second time, I called my boss and said, I can't work here alone anymore. And this guy put his nasty, icy cold hands on me, screamed in my ears, get out, get out. And I'm like, okay, I'm leaving. Let me shut everything down. And I did. I shut everything down, locked up, closed up, got everything ready to, shut down for the day. I called my boss and said, I can't do this here anymore. I cannot work alone here. No. I'll tell you what happened. And she's like, whoa, you're kidding, right? I go, no, I wish I were.
Was she a believer in this type of thing?
No. Total skeptic because nothing had ever happened to her. I mean, this is the kind of thing you don't forget,
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely not forgetting that.
This is one of those things you just never forget.
Mm-mm.
And I'm glad I don't work there anymore. Oh my God, that was terrifying. I saw other ghosts there. They had a lot of them. One of them was a school teacher, and I was in the school building or the schoolhouse building, and you could see little handprints on the chalkboard, and where they were like trying to write their ABCs. It was so cute,
Mm-hmm.
It was really cute. And I would walk around the building.
Yeah, Melissa, your Wi-Fi went crazy again.
Yeah.
How's that better?
Okay, you're
Can you
back.
hear me?
Sorta. Hey, your signal dropped there whatever you moved. There, now it's perfect.
I'm not getting anything there.
You shouldn't have moved, Melissa. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And the teacher, the teacher spirit lady, she was really nice.
What happened to them?
I think we lost her.
Yeah, I think her Wi-Fi is gone out again.
We love you too, Coffee.
How's that?
That's better.
Ooh, I think you're coming back.
Okay.
Don't move.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi here sucks. Sorry, folks.
No, you're good. So
anyway, so I think she just hangs around to look after her students and to look after her classroom, you know?
Yeah.
So they didn't like die together, I guess is what I was getting.
No. I think they all just grew up and went their separate ways, you know?
It's life, yeah. It's what we do. So.
God, I've had so many experiences. There was one more where a drunk man tried to gun me down, you know, because I guess he just didn't like me for whatever reason, and he had sexually harassed me earlier in that same time period. And so I finally confronted this guy and said, look, let's just sit down and talk. There's table and chairs right here. I think we could come out of this as friends. We don't need to do this. We don't need to come out of this as enemies. So he said, oh, I don't want to talk. I said, well, we're going to sit down and talk. So you have to say, sit now. And I saw his pistol start to come up out of leather. And I said, I put my hand back to my pistol, took safety off. And even though my pistol was not loaded, no, mine was empty. I bluffed him the whole way through. I literally bluffed him. And anyway, when I saw that cylinder come up out of leather, I had mine out, and at his heart, I said, I told you I didn't want it to go this far. Now put it down, put it back. Do you hear me? And he dropped his back down in leather, and I put mine back away, put the safety back on. And to either side of me, I heard all my ancestors from every time period literally confirm that they were there to protect me. And all I heard on either side of me was click, 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 click. Click, 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 and bows and arrows drawing back. I look either side of me. I'm trying like hell not to laugh because this was absolute hilarity. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, dude, you just bought the farm. Oh, man. Oh, you just bought the farm, dude. I stand there trying like hell to keep a straight face. He looks on either side of me. The color drains from his face. His jaw hits the floor. His eyes go wide. I goes, yeah, now you know. He goes, he kind of has this whole thing, and I could literally read his face. He's going, oh, she wasn't kidding, you know? And I'm like, now you know. And so he walks past me, kind of pushes past me. I spin around to watch him go. He gets about 100 yards from me, turns back around, and I notice there's a little trickle on his jeans. I'm standing there trying like hell not to laugh, you know? And he goes, oh, I'll get you next time. I said, there ain't going to be no next time, because next time you're dead.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
And those were the most frightening of my experiences.
That's pretty frightening.
Have you ever woken up and just had something like right in your face?
Yes, a few times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
I've
think
had
that
it.
would be
I've had
that
that
would be
happen.
really scary.
I'm like, excuse me, do you mind? Hello?
Well,
Excuse me, do you mind? Get out of my face, get out of my business. Hello?
well, in the paranormal world, there's all sorts of creatures. Have you ever had any experiences with like Bigfoot?
Yes, I have. I've seen one.
Oh wow!
I've seen one, and he was the most beautiful creature I had ever seen.
Now, when you say you see
He was
him,
absolutely gorgeous.
was he in this dimension, or was he something you were seeing from?
No, he was in this dimension. No,
Wow,
he was
okay.
full on 3D. I could see him from head to feet. Oh my God, was he gorgeous. He was the most beautiful creature I had ever seen.
How tall
He
would you
was
say?
just there on the side of the road, just strolling, kind of deep in thought, minding his own beeswax.
Where was this at?
This was in California, Highway 96, between Fort Goff, California, and Happy Camp, California.
Okay. And it was daytime?
It was daytime, yes.
Oh, wow.
It was like between late afternoon and early evening, just before sunset, but it was light enough I could see him in full daylight.
Wow.
And we just kind of nodded at each other and, expressed that we acknowledge each other's presence, and that was it. I just watched him till he faded out of sight. My reaction was, wow, what a beautiful creature. I couldn't take my eyes off him. I mean, it was one of the most amazing experiences.
I can imagine, yeah. Have you had experience with any other type of creatures? Or?
I have actually talked to chupacabras in New Mexico. One of them was under my bedroom window, and the other one was in a field about 50 to 100 yards away, and they were screaming at each other. I opened the window. I goes, "Do you mind? Everyone's trying to sleep. You're making too much of a ruckus. You're making a fuss. Knock it off." And they go, but, Mom. I go, no. Don't you, Mommy. You go to bed. Do you understand me? You go to bed. I go, no, but go to bed. I don't care. Go to bed. I never saw them, but I could hear them. Sure as shooting, I could hear them, and are they noisy?
I bet. I would love to know. I mean, you see the drawings of what they look like. I would love to see what they really are. How about
they're kind of like a hairless dog almost, or so I've seen anyway. I can't prove that. I've never actually seen one, but are they some noisy critters? They were just screaming at each other back and forth. I go, go to bed now. You're keeping everybody up. Do you mind?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I go, no buts. Go to bed. But no, I ain't hearing it. Go to bed.
So what I'm getting is you're the dominant one. So
yes, I'm mom.
Gotcha.
I'm mama. Yeah. So.
That's impressive. So I guess then that's going to my follow-up question is: you can also communicate with animals, or is it just?
Yes, I can.
No, okay. How do dogs
and I'll give
animals...
you some examples. I can go to any pet store anywhere. All the animals pipe up at once and all want attention. All of them. Cats, dogs, birds, reptiles, gerbils and hamsters, all of them. Fish, they all look right at me. I'm going, what? Do I look like I have goodies sewn on me? seriously.
Pocket.
And so, of course, you know me, I got to go up to each and every enclosure and I got to give them some attention. It's unavoidable and irresistible. I can go to any rodeo, anywhere in the country. All the horses, as soon as I get out of the vehicle, all the horses look right at me. I'm like, what? Seriously? Do I look like I have cookies sewn on me? They're like, yes. I go, no, sorry, no cookies, but plenty of kisses. They go, kisses? Really? I go, yep, plenty of that to go around. And they go, okay, we'll accept that. One kiss or one cookie, please. Human, you must pay up.
I bet the bulls are screaming that since they got their balls tied up. Oh my God! So.
No, whoa, back it up.
That's what they do in rodeos.
No, that's the way it works. That is not the way it works.
It's not. That's what I always.
And I know told. I've been around rodeos long enough. I'm a former barrel racer.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I always thought they did.
I've been around rodeo long enough. They don't, they don't tie their genitals. They do not do that. Not with broncs, not with bulls. It's like having a belt tied around your waist. It's only annoying to them for 8 seconds. Okay.
Okay.
That is one thing I've got to correct. Now, whenever I go to rodeos, I have all the roping steers line up along the pen fence. Look at me, look at my food. Look at me, look at my food. I goes, oh, no, I don't think so. Your mama or daddy would kill me dead if you got sick on my food. And they're like, but we won't. I goes, oh, yeah, no, you'll tell all right when I get the vet bill. Oh, you'll tell all right. Believe me, you'll tell. And of course, you just have to laugh because it's so damn cute. And so, obviously, I went to the stock contract and said, by the way, your rope and steers were begging again. He goes, oh, that again? I goes, yeah. He goes, they're begging you, right? I goes, yeah. Well, anyway, can I arrange to have them have something that's actually healthy for them to have? So they're not deprived of any goodies or anything. Just something that's good for them. Healthy, Because I'm a critter mom, I know what it's like to have pets. So, hey, I got to arrange for them to have something good. They go, oh, no problem. That's arranged. No worries.
Well, I'm going to ask another weird question. So, see, my nickname is Sport Cat because I like cats. Do cats go meow?
They sure do. In fact, they talk. Well, cats don't just talk meow, meow, meow. No, they are telepathic. Did you know that?
I was always told they were evil.
No.
Maybe it's just
no. They get a little silly sometimes, but evil they are not.
Okay. So, but they can communicate like we talk? Is that how it works?
Yes.
Or is it...
Yes, they can communicate like we talk. Yes. Absolutely.
That is wild. I would have thought that it would have been more like a grade schooler or something, if that makes sense, because
No, they have a whole vocabulary.
Wow. That's it. So did you have to learn all this, or was it just?
No, I've known this all my life. I've always been able to communicate.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It is. That is. And with your psychic abilities, does that also I'm going to compare it to this, don't get this wrong, but like a Superman has he can hear everything in the world. Is that the way it is with psychic ability? It's like you have to tune it out like a radio almost. Sometimes,
once in a while. Yeah. I'll have to say once in a while, I just have to kind of tune it out. But moreover, the ancestors speak. They have a lot of good wisdom.
Okay, your Wi-Fi broke up a little bit there.
Okay, how's that?
That's much better.
But they have a lot of good wisdom. Always, always listen to the ancestors, y'all. Do it because you're going to get a lot of good wisdom. If I look over, kind of to my side a little bit, I'm not ignoring you. I'm seeing someone. I'm not out of the corner of my eye. No, I'm literally seeing someone.
Oh, wow. You don't see anybody around us, or around me, more importantly.
No, not for the moment. I can't see because it has a live and the live minute count in front of me, so I can't see you.
Okay. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not very attractive. My mom told me I had a voice for or a face for radio.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
It is what it is. So.
And plus, having cataracts due to diabetes, I can't see you anyway.
Oh, yeah, the sugars will get you. Yeah, you got to be careful about that.
Yeah, I have cataracts from diabetes, so I can't see you anyway.
Goodness gracious. Well, what about other entities like aliens and stuff? ET.
Aliens, I've never seen any, but I've seen UFOs. Oh, I have seen UFOs. Oh, yes. In New Mexico. Oh, my gosh. I have several stories. Me and my cousin and my ex-husband were going up to Colorado for something. And I look up. We're in the path between where we live and the place we have to go in Colorado. I look up in the path and there's a UFO, like literally, like overhead of my truck. I'm going, wow. I've seen a cigar-shaped one over Taos, New Mexico. I saw like round disc-shaped UFOs chasing each other across the sky over my then home in New Mexico. I've seen the Phoenix Lights when I was in Arizona. I saw the Phoenix Lights. That was an experience. That was really cool. Let's see what else.
Yeah, you cut out there. Last week we heard was the Phoenix Lights.
It's really messed up this time, isn't it?
Yeah, Amanda, you see your mic lighting up as well. Oh, yeah. Her Wi-Fi must have chopped out on her.
It must have totally crashed.
Oh. And absolutely. Pulling a gun on a ghost. I'm kind of that's impressive. Just trying to remember Chris Tamlin. I'm just trying to Salty. These allergies in Atlanta are killing me, Salty. So all right, well, there you go.
Field.
Sorta. There you go.
A mile from the house.
Wow.
Yeah, this actually happened.
Wow. But you've never had any communication with extraterrestrials?
No, never.
Okay. I always wondered about that, if they have a higher psyche than we do. I don't know.
It's possible. I don't know for sure.
I think they use technology too a lot of times.
That's possible.
So what do you think about other dimensions?
I know they exist. Why? I've been to the other side and back 4 times.
Now, while you were living, are you counting like
near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences? Yeah.
Oh, so what are they like?
Well, it's a lot of fun. I go and see my family, and I was really, really sick one time, and I went to a hospital type place, and I could describe it literally exactly.
Wow. So you live out in the Midwest, where there is obviously in the culture a lot of
Northwest, Pacific Northwest.
Okay, so one of my questions was going to be, what would it be like? there probably weren't many out there, but if you went to like a Civil War battlefield or something equivalent out in the West, how is
I could see them and they can see me.
that? And you can interact like you're.
Yes.
That's an amazing skill and ability.
It's just something I've always known how to do. It just happens.
When you were a kid, did it scare you?
No, not really. I scared away a spirit at 3 years old.
Oh, okay. Do you remember how you did it, or?
Yes, I do. I remember to this day. Basically, it was going after my then infant sister. I told it, no, nope, out, leave, on. You're not here. Be gone.
No.
And yeah.
Wow, that's insane. And it's insane that you remember back when you're 3 years old. I can't remember yesterday. Well, with are you able to predict or see into like the future or determine anything like that?
Very once in a while, flash to something, but
These damn allergies are killing me.
Yeah.
They really are. We have a high pollen count today. If you watched my news show this morning at 1:00, you'd have known that. So, but over this past hour, it feels like it's got more intense. I'm trying to hold it in for some reason. So, very odd. I hate that we lost our Wi-Fi, and we got to figure out the the gain on your microphone. I think that might be part of it. I think you got your gain set too high.
okay,
Yeah,
there we
Yeah.
are. But any once in a while, I will get a flash of
yeah. Your Wi-Fi went away again.
anything else I want to ask?
No, well, since your Wi-Fi is going out, I know we promised we'd only keep you about an hour. I wish we'd had a better connection because I feel like I tried to get all the questions in at once, kind of like machine gun style.
That's okay.
I'm sure I'll have plenty more for you in emails or chat. If people wanted to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you?
Okay, they can get in touch with me via my website. It is
Maybe you can put it in the chat, Noah.
Okay, I'll put that in the comments after the show so that everybody can look at it. Thank you, Melissa, for coming on. I appreciate it.
2017@gmail.com.
I'll get all that in chat from her in the comments. Salty, you're killing me. My God, I'm glad you're back. Well, so we've got to figure out your mic problem because that's going to be a thing on FM. We got to figure that out. I don't know how.
Yeah, I'll have to play with the buttons here or something and see what we can do.
You might have a gain knob. Wait a minute, that got a little bit better. Talk.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, it got better.
Okay. I'll leave it right there and we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, because now when you talk, you can hear it a little bit in the background, but not much. So
okay. We'll have to play with that a little bit and see what we can do.
Well, okay. Well, you're getting it. So,
Good.
yeah, she just messaged me and said she was sorry about the Wi-Fi, and I'm just going to tell her we'll get her back on. Yeah. So Amanda, what do you got going on here recently? Anything?
We're back with Two Dark Witches, and of course, been working on getting us set up to go to Townsend, Tennessee.
Yeah, you're kind of the mom on this adventure because
I know this.
I'm totally off my game.
That's okay. You're like, can you get us registered? I was like, sure. They're like, okay. So let's see what all we need to do. But working, I volunteered for Scarefest for years, so I'm kind of used to all of this and used to them coming in and the questions they would have for me and getting set up and everything. So I had a whole list of questions to ask them for our setup and everything to make sure we had everything we needed once we got there. Because it's just a 1-day festival. So anyone close to Townsend, Tennessee, or if you want to come see us, it's May 3rd. It's really close to Gatlinburg, so it'll be a lot of fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, our second guest, she's a little bit early, but we can bring her out since we had some technical difficulties. She is the Appalachian Witch, and Pat is her name. Welcome, Pat. How are you? Can't hear you. I got nothing. I'm not going to sound like our charades either. I was never good at charades. I see that it's not muted on the screen, so
it's a night for technical issues.
Apparently, and we weren't even having aliens on, so
I don't know. Maybe it's the witchiness of it all.
It could be. I'm trying to find her in chat here. We can't hear you. Yeah. And okay, you're going to go out and come back in. Okay, I think I understood that. You're going to go out and come back in. Okay, all right. Uncommon Soul wants to know, Amanda, do you ever get freaked out when you first talked to, when they first talked to you, meaning from the spirit side? Sorry, my eyes are all watering up from allergies.
I've never had anything talk to me from the spirit side, only in a dream. I mentioned on here the other night, and I think the time before, I had a dream where I talked to my sister-in-law. My brother and sister-in-law were sitting on each side of me. So I've only talked to a spirit in my dream. Other than that, I've just seen things and heard like noises. Like I had something try to get in my bedroom one morning.
Yeah,
and then I had something follow me to the laundry room a couple weeks ago, and I thought it was one of my dogs, but I turned around and neither of them were there. So I haven't actually had anything like try to contact me verbally or anything. So nothing's really freaked me out too bad so far. I woke up crying from the dream after I talked to my sister-in-law who had passed.
Not a fan. Pat, can you hear us now?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yay, yes.
That was my fault. I hadn't checked the audio and it was clicked on the default, which is not what I need to get on. So thank you for your patience.
It's all right.
It's good to have you here.
Yeah.
It's good to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. That was poor English. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm from Appalachia, and I will tell you that you know where in Appalachia somebody's from, because if you're from the mid to the southern, it's Latch, like in Latch. But if you're northern, if you're more towards Pennsylvania or beyond that, you may hear Appalachian. But most of us know it as Appalachian. So that's where I'm from, is the Appalachian Mountains. And my mother's people were actually settlers in the Kentucky, the West Virginia, the Virginia, and the North Carolina areas. And it's so interesting that my father's people, I always say I'm mostly Appalachian witch, but I've got a little swamp witch in me because my father's people are from Texas. My great granny and her people actually came by wagon train over into Texas. So I have a little bit of that in me too, because if you know anything about Texas, between New Orleans and Beaumont, Texas, is what we call the Big Thicket. It's a swamp. I grew up in the swamp. I remember being 10 years old and sitting up on the porch, and her name was Becky Beaumont, and we saw all the emergency crews and all the cops. They were just roaring down the road. Well, at the end of that road was a swamp, and that's where Becky and I used to hang out all the time. Well, what it was is that somebody had got a little too close, and there was an alligator in there, and the alligator got him. So, yeah. So it's like Appalachia, and I love Appalachia. There's a magic here. You all know that. And there's so many critters, that keep showing up on trail cams. We're getting really popular, in case y'all haven't noticed, because of the cryptids that are showing up. But so I'm an Appalachian girl. I'm a psychic and a medium. I am a consulting hypnotist. I'm trained through the National Guild of Hypnotists. Now, I will tell you that you don't have to have a license, and it's not overseen to be a hypnotist. But I don't think I would let somebody crawl around in my head unless they had some guide or map to get you out of certain situations. So always ask if the person that you are being hypnotized by does have credentials, and where were they credentialed. And I'm also a Reiki master. I'm an author of 9 books now and 1 audiobook. And I am fascinated by the paranormal. I've written, dozens and dozens of articles for magazines, like Ghost Voices magazines, Haunted Times, Paranormal magazine. I mean, you name it, probably.
That's amazing. That's a lot.
Well, I'm old. I've had a lot of time, and I've been busy.
So how long have you been doing this?
Well, all my life. I was raised. I was raised by 2 amazing women, my mother and my grandmother. And my mother was she could read hands. She was a palmist. And my granny, now that's where all the energy comes from in my family. She was a medium, and she was just a powerful psychic. And I remember one time she had been what she called playing with the spirit board, because back in the day, in her day, they called them the spirit boards, right? And most of these boards that we now call, the Ouija board, well, the Ouija board, believe it or not, is just how do I put this? Copywritten. It was copywritten, but before then, it was in everybody's parlors, because spiritualism was such a thing during the Victorian era. And my granny was born in 1919. Now think about that. That's a long time ago, right? The women didn't even have the right to vote until 1920. So she saw a lot of history. And I remember my mom and grandma telling me that they would actually run off the hill when they saw a truck or a car go by, because there were so few of them. It was a big deal to see a car or truck. That's how old these people are. And that's when I say I'm 66. I've seen a lot, but all my life. And I'll tell you, because a lot of people are interested, my first connection with the spirit realm or discarnate souls was my mother. My father was in the Air Force. He was a jet mechanic, and we were in I think it's Fairbanks, Alaska. It's Ellison Air Force Base in might be Fairbanks. I can't remember.
It is. Yes, I've been there.
There you go. So I was a little kid, right? I mean, I was like 4 years old. And I'm sitting there, and it's the twilight time. Anybody that's ever been to Alaska or to the Nordic nations, you do. It's like twilight for, weeks on end. And so we're in the twilight era, and I'm sitting there, and Mom still had, like, lights on, a little light on, but in case somebody had to get up. And I'm sitting there, and I will never forget, I saw my mother's doppelganger. It was really her soul, and I recognized it as her soul, and I saw it as her. And I saw her just float in and then over her body and then just settle into her body. So I was a very confused child because I didn't understand what was going on at that time. But I come from a family, one of the things that we're just naturals at is astral projection. And that's what she was doing. Of course, I realize it now, but I was very fortunate because I had these two women that were able to talk with me. And, like I said, Granny was working with the spirit board. One day, it's so funny. One day, Granny, she'd get mad at that spirit board and she'd say, I'm never talking to that old board again. And what had happened, my granny couldn't drive. Oh my God. Just sign, make sure you've got life insurance if you get in the car with Granny. So anyway, she had failed her test, her driver's test, innumerable times. And the spirit board had said, you're going to fail it again, but you will get your license. And so, she said, I'm never talking to this board again. It lies to me. So she went up to West Virginia. We were in West Virginia, Lewisburg, West Virginia. She got in with this. There's like 2 state troopers because it's Lewisburg, West Virginia. So she gets the same poor old trooper. And he takes her around the block, right? And she has to park. And he tells her, he says, ma'am, he says, you failed this test again, but I'm just going to go ahead and give you your license. So the spirit board did not lie to her. It actually told her what was going to happen. So that was my childhood, is what I'm trying to say. I grew up, my grandmother obviously was fascinated with anything in the occult. And the occult, by the way, the word itself simply means hidden knowledge. So she was fascinated with everything. And I grew up on the original, by the way, Fate magazine, when it was actually a big deal. It was in printed form. And so as soon as Granny would read that, I would read it. And then the reading material in our house was like things like Wonders of the World and Ancient Egyptians. And yes, we even had John Cavendish's The Black Art. So I'm a 10, 11-year-old reading about how to do the hand of fate, which, by the way, if you want to know, you go into a graveyard to where a murderer has been interred. You dig up said murderer, you cut his hand off, make sure it's the right hand, and you dip it in wax, you set it alight, and you hold it by the wrist, and you walk through anywhere, and it gives you the power of invisibility. Yeah, that was my reading material. So from then to now, I have been fascinated by it. And like your last guest, I've just been privy to so much that it's hard to deny what your experiences are. In fact, I say that the only difference between a true cynic and one who has experiences and says this is real is the experience itself when you think about it. A cynic becomes a believer very quickly, my friends, when they themselves have an experience or experiences. It changes everything.
Yeah, it does. I know that from the Bigfoot world, so yeah.
So you're more into the cryptid end of this? Yeah, fascinating.
I am. I grew up in 2 haunted houses, so I don't like things that go bump in the night inside.
Mm-hmm. I grew up in a haunted house too, and I know exactly what you're talking about. Have you ever heard of we talk about dimensions, and have you ever heard of an expansion of space? It's an extremely rare paranormal occurrence, and it actually happened. Listen, let me tell you, I grew up in a tar paper shack in West Virginia, and we had a room that, now listen to this. Remember those old 1930s shipper robes? how massive they were? Okay, we had one of those in there. We had a queen bed in there, and then we had a 1930s vanity with the big round mirror, right? And still had room for a little table right next to the bed. I went back years later to that shack, and my jaw dropped. I could not believe it. There was not enough room in that room to put a twin bed. I mean, it was a closet. And it was fascinating because two things about this place. My grandmother and my grandfather actually cannibalized an old house called the Sam Hannah Holler House. Now, in that area, it was known as one of the most haunted houses, in the region. Everybody knew about the Sam Hannah Holler House, right? Well, we was Poe, and so nobody lived there. It was just a bunch of nothing at that time, and so they took pieces of it. They cannibalized it. So I guess they took some of that energy with them, right? And then here's another thing. When I was just a kid, I was probably about 12. And we ran out of water. We had no water. And so Granny hired a water witch, and he came in, and I'm sitting in there, and I said, "What's he doing?" And Granny said, "Well, Pat, he's a water witch." I said, "Well, what's a water witch?" And she said, "He goes out and he finds water." So I'm excited. So he comes back in, and I said, "Ooh, can I do it? Can I do it?" I guess I was excited and cute at the time. So he said, "Well, if it's okay with your granny." So I went out and I walked around, and I swear to you, I could not keep these, things from crossing. I mean, and when they did, he told me, he said, "Wow," he said, "that's exactly where it's at." Come to find out, we not only had water there, it was an artesian spring that ran directly under the house. So we have all of these, yes, we have all, and growing up in that house, I will never forget, we're all in the living room, and all of a sudden we hear an explosion in the kitchen. So we go running into the kitchen. There is a butcher knife right in the middle of the floor. I mean, geographically perfect. And then there is like an explosion of red everywhere. We have no idea, right? So Mom and Granny, man, I got to give them credit. They were the coolest women I ever met. They're like, "Oh, well, let's clean it up." It's like nothing to see here. It was so funny. So that's what that's what I grew up with. And so when I would have an experience, or when I would report something, or say I'd seen something, I didn't get closed down. Granny would start asking me questions, and then she'd start sharing information with me, right? So I wasn't out there lost and alone and afraid. I could always go to Granny, to Mom, and they would speak with me, and they never poo-pooed me or said the monster wasn't in the closet. Granny just wanted a description of the monster.
I've always wondered if children could really see things, and we as adults tell them, "Oh no, there's no imaginary friend over there."
Mm-hmm. Well, I think one of the worst things we can do, number one, is that, because what you've done essentially is said, "You're on your own, kid. We don't believe you. So you're on your own, kid." So now you've got a child that's terrified, has absolutely no information. In fact, yes. Oh,
Yeah,
you?
I was gonna say that's
Yeah.
me. Yeah, everything was a demon. Yeah, everything was a demon. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. It's not, and we know that. You talked about. Now, I will tell you that I have never had the pleasure, if you will, of personally engaging or seeing or interacting with what I would consider a cryptid. But I have. I just know that they exist. It's one of those things, it's like claircognizance, a clear knowing. These exist. And the reason I know that is I have had interdimensional kinds of experiences, right? So why wouldn't something? Why do we think that we are the kings and queens of the universe? There's nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. There's so
Mhm.
much proof that there's other things out there.
Yes, yes, they do. Well, again, it's the experience. I mean, I could sit here and be closed-minded because I myself have never seen. But let me tell you, I'm a writer, okay? I'm a writer, and we aren't exactly known for, sitting out in the middle of the woods 2 miles from home, right? You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'm usually in behind a keyboard somewhere. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the Appalachians. I go out in the Appalachians, but I'm out by dark, okay? There's an
Mhm.
energy. You know this. There is an energy there, and it is palatable. It vibrates. It undulates, because it is so powerful. And there are energies, and I consider myself an energy person. So I have things like discernment of the soul. I can look at someone. Sometimes I will see things from your past, things that have happened to you, or things that will happen to you, right? But most importantly, I see into your soul. I see into your heart, and I can tell, whether that person is good, bad, indifferent, trying, spiritual, non-spiritual. I mean, those sorts of things. And so when I'm out in the woods, I'm connecting with maybe something like that, maybe Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, whatever we want to call this creature, right? And it feels different to me. It feels foreign to me. It's scary because of that. I'm not gonna lie. If I don't recognize something energetically, it throws me off because I don't know what I'm dealing with. Um, Especially if it's animal, because animal energy, and I don't know what Sasquatch is. I've always felt maybe it's part human, part, I don't know, but there's a human element to it, or am I incorrect? And
No, it's sentient.
yeah, yes. And I will tell you something. I will tell you one who did have, and for anybody into this, I hope you enjoy this story. But I have a very good friend that is a college cop, and they are police officers. They have to go through the academy and all of that. So he's sitting there, and he's like one of two on campus late at night. And you have to understand, many men who go into this profession have a bit of swagger to them. And don't get me
Very
wrong, I love the
jocular.
swag.
Yes.
I love the swagger. I do. I'm old fashioned. I love male swagger. So he definitely has it. So he comes and he says, Pat, he says, the other night I was in it, they used to call it, oh, what was it? But it's where the cops would be, right? He said, I was in there and I was getting ready to go out. And he said, and all of a sudden I heard a scream. He said, Pat, it was like animal and human, and it was right outside the building. And he said he stepped out because, a swagger. So he stepped out and he said he smelled the worst smell that he had ever heard, felt or smelled in his life. And then it screamed again. And it scared him enough that Mr. Swagger came back in and locked the door and stayed in for about an hour. So, and he to this day feels that he encountered a Sasquatch, a Bigfoot.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Even when I go visit my mom, she lives in North Knoxville. Well, sort of North Knoxville there in the mountains. And I'll go outside in the middle of the night just for no apparent reason. And I can feel the energy. I mean, it's just like dead. And there's a large predator in the area. The air is heavy. You can just feel it. And I have a respect for her. I'll be like, all right, I know you're out here. You can see me. I can't see you. Well, let's keep it that way. So
yeah. Well, and I have noticed, and this isn't being misogynistic or anything like that, but there are a lot of men who are really interested in cryptids, and I think part of it is, we do have people going out and staying in the woods again, and I have to admit, as much as I love all things paranormal, that's probably not something I would sign up for. Although, when I was a youngster, we used to go out and we would spend the whole weekend gone. And I will never forget. I woke up one day and we were by a creek, and I felt something like warm on my face, right? And so I looked up, and at the same time, this deer really focused on my face. I guess I was kind of had been sweating. Yeah, and I screamed. That deer, if it could have screamed, it would have been. It went But there is an experience I had in the mountains. I was actually sitting in a truck, and I'd been way back there. You know how country kids are. We have nothing but time sometimes when we're young. And we're coming down the mountain. We stop, and I see a mountain lion. This is not a bobcat. Its tail was above the hood of that truck, and there's not supposed to be at the time any mountain lions, but that was a mountain lion. It was a beautiful example of one too. It was a big old one, but yeah. So there's all kinds of things out in those woods. We've got a trail cam up on the right behind. I live up on the mountain in North Carolina, in some of the oldest parts of the Appalachia right now. But anyway, we've gotten big cats. We've gotten deer. We've gotten bear. I mean, you name it, we've gotten it on that trail cam. And so when I come in at night by myself late, I'm like grabbing my stuff, and before I open the door, I like run to the as soon as I open the door. Yeah, exactly. Because the woods are full of critters, and some of them will eat you. I mean, they are carnivores.
Yes, I live in the Kentucky Palisades, so we have a lot of coyotes, and we find deer
Oh,
carcasses everywhere down on the
mhm,
river and everything. So yeah, you
mhm.
never know.
And don't forget, this is what is scary too, is that, as space becomes tighter, um, animals become more aggressive, including coyotes. See, we've got them too. You can go out any given night and just hear them screaming, and that's a good way to put it for anybody that knows anything about coyotes. And they're right across. And, watch your pets, my friends, because they will disappear.
Yeah,
I just
well,
actually read a story about coyotes in the city of Chicago, and one came into a grocery store, and they managed to get it in the walk-in freezer and close the door and call the police. And they were like, "You guys need to do something about this." The cops were
Well,
like,
the space is
"Yeah,
condensing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're
Mhm.
everywhere."
Yep.
Shay Smith says hi.
Hi, Shay.
She is
We
in the
have a podcast on Monday nights, Two Broke Witches. She said she knows you. She's a psychic medium as well,
Yes,
and
she's a lovely person, actually. I have,
yeah,
met her on a number of occasions. She actually, at one time, I think she did an astrological, chart casting for me, and I appreciated that very much.
nice. Yes, I love Shay. She's on the Monday night podcast with me. We're Two Broke Witches.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It's
Yes,
2 Broke Waitresses. Was that the one? Or yeah, yeah, I love
I
that
think
show.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll have to join us some Monday night. We have a good time on there.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yes, that would be
I'm sure I
great.
don't get to talk. I just push buttons. So,
Well, you're talking now.
well, I mean, yeah, yeah,
On
let me
Monday
talk
night,
tonight.
On Monday nights,
Yeah, but on Monday
she's
nights,
our Monday night button person.
oh yeah,
Oh,
I'm
we
just
have a lot of fun.
we do. Um,
oh, love you,
so
Shay.
what I asked the other guest about
Mhm,
aliens. What about
mhm.
ETs and aliens? What do you think about that?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you. I actually I was writing, I think, for Paranormal Magazine at the time, and I was actually sent to it was in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. Anyway, it was the International UFO Conference. And the story that I was dispatched to write was a comparison, okay, between those who are involved in the paranormal world versus those who are involved in ufology, okay? And the question that I asked was simple. Do you feel that if someone is like very comfortable, if you will, or very knowledgeable or follows a paranormal path, if they have an experience that would be the same experience as someone who's interested in ufology would have, would they tend to describe that in paranormal terms? Or as a ufologist. And of course, I knew the answer before I went, but I wanted, to talk with people like Rosemary Ellen Guiley at the time, right? And of course, she said absolutely that if you were, if you believed in ghosts, if you, if you believed in different things, cryptids, et cetera, right, then you would be more prone to believe that it was a paranormal experience versus someone in ufology who would see it through the prism, if you will, of being taken or having an interaction not with a spirit but with an alien. Now you asked me about this, and there's a couple of things because I have had encounters, but they've been different. All right. Let me talk about my daughter first. When she was conceived, I mean, it was so little in the pregnancy that I didn't know what she was, right? A boy or a girl. But I knew I was a really, really tired woman, and I have Irish twins, which means I had had the other one 9 months before this little being was coming. So I went to the doctor, and it was my first appointment. And he said, Pat, her titers are so high. She's an RH baby, right? Her titers are so high because I'm A negative. And she, at the time, was O positive. And the reason I say it's time, there's a story to this. And I have, by the way, medical records to prove this. So anyway, he said, you're going to have to terminate the pregnancy. He said, I promise you, this child cannot be okay. She is not going to be okay. It's going to be a miracle if she survives the pregnancy. And I'm like, okay, because I'm tired. Did I mention that? And I'm like, this is God's will. I had nothing to do with this, right? I know, makes me a terrible person. Try having Irish twins sometimes. But anyway, I'm sitting there, the doctor's on the phone because he said, oh, there's an opening I know of, so I'm going to go and call and we'll get this taken care of. I'm like, okay. He gets on the phone. I'm out of my body. I told you I'm an astral projector and I am in the ether. And imagine standing in a cloud and it's like it's moving, all right? And I look over and I see this woman. And she is, I know, laugh all you want. She's dressed in a toga. And I remember she had this beautiful honey-colored thick hair, and it was braided. And all she said was, she will be fine. She will be fine. This is my first, I had no idea what this child was. So I'm back in my body, right? And he's off the phone. He says, good news. He said, I've got the room, the operating room. And I said, no, we can't be doing this. And he said, well, why? And I said, just can't do it. I didn't want to say, while you were on the phone, I was in the ether. And the spirit spoke with me, right? You have to keep that to yourself. Oh, my goodness. So fast forward, I'm at 7 months. The titers are out the roof. It's so bad that I have to go and have blood work done every 2 weeks throughout this pregnancy. So I am sitting in a hotel room, 7 months, I think 7.5, somewhere like that. And I'm getting ready to go to the Medical College of Virginia to have an amniocentesis to see how bad it is. And I get a phone call from the doctor, Dr. Glover. This man was 74 at the time. He called me. He said, Pat, he said, I've canceled the amniocentesis. I said, you canceled it? I said, why? He said, Pat, he said, her titers are perfect. It's like her blood type had changed in your womb because she was O positive, I was A negative. And he said her blood type it's like it's changed from positive to negative. All right. So I have this baby whom I love very, very much. And I'm so happy I have her. And she's 3 years old. She's 3.5, between 3 and 3.5 years old. And she's on my mother's front porch and she's pointing up at the sky. And so my mother went out to see what the fuss was about. The door was open, obviously. I mean, she was watching her. Went out. looked up. She said, Pat, she said, I almost passed out. She said there was this cigar-shaped craft above this kid's head. She said it was as big as a football field. I mean, it was so close, right? And so mom, of course, scoops the child up and into the house and then reports it to me later and said she went back out a few minutes later and it was gone. Well, fast forward. Now she's about 10 years old and she's on a swing. And she goes running in and telling my mother that, there's this saucer shape and it was above her. So I don't know what her purpose is, but there is a purpose here. And yes, I do believe in aliens. I'm an astral projector. One time I will never forget, I was coming back into my body and I woke up, which is very rare, okay, for astral projectors. And I'm above the door frame. I mean, I can see my own room. And I'm told, a voice tells me, do not look to the right. All right. And you have to understand, spirits don't sit there and we just don't whoop it up and have these conversations. It's messages. But I have like almost perfect at the time peripheral vision. Okay. So as I'm coming back in, I see these little creatures on the other side of the bed. I know. And so I see them there. And then as soon as my head touched the pillow, it's like I was out. But I remembered all of this the next morning. I do believe in aliens. Absolutely. Again, good grief, the hubris we must have if we think that we are the only ones in the universe, right? Now, I had a strange experience once. I was getting ready for bed, and it's like all of a sudden the room got dark, and then it was like a spotlight. What can I say? It was like a spotlight, and this little creature, it was like a dark creature, but very humanoid, okay, was sitting on my table next to the bed. There wasn't anything on it. It's like he was just sitting there, and I got the feeling that it was a he, right? You just know things. And then all of a sudden, he's just sitting there, and I'm just staring at him. He's looking over at me. And then all of a sudden, it gets dark, and then back to the normal light again. And I think that, people who have a tendency to astral project, we project into many places. We project into other dimensions. We project into other worlds. I mean, think about it. If the soul is freed from the body, it's free to travel. And so we tend to do exactly that. I just caught a little bit of what you'd said, Amanda, about having met your aunt. Was it your aunt in your sleep?
My sister-in-law.
Your sister-in-law. Okay. Your sister-in-law in your sleep. You're astral projecting into the other world. One time I astral projected into the other world. I will never forget this. I'm sitting in a restaurant bar. It's not fancy like you saw at the Stanley Hotel, in Stephen King's movie. Nothing, The Shining, nothing like that. It was just like this regular restaurant bar. And I'm sitting there looking around. I'm the only one. And I look over and there's a bartender and he's over there. And I said, where am I? He said, well, you're where the dead dwell. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then see what I'm saying? I'm just like my mom and grandma, just, oh, okay. So all of a sudden, though, people started appearing. And what was really interesting about this is that they were appearing from different eras, like from the 1920s, from the Edwardian age, Victorian age. It was like just people started appearing. And then, I just appeared back in my body. That's how it is. But yeah, I mean, I could go, look, guys, whatever you want. Honestly, I have been a psychic and medium all of my life, literally all of my life. And if you have any, questions about that, you mentioned animals. I heard you ask, your previous guest about that, Ms. McCarty, who just seems to have a beautiful spirit, by the way. But I can do it. I don't, that's not my preference, all right, and I'll give you an example real quick. I had a woman call me and say, and she's crying, so I know it's serious, and I'm thinking there's a child involved. And so she had my attention, and she said, "My sister's dog has disappeared." And I'm like, "Well, okay." And then she said, "Well, you don't understand. This is her child, her child." And I said, "All right, let me focus." And so I focused, and I saw this dog running down this hill, across the field, down a hill. And I saw the dog go this way. So that's where they thought the dog was, but the dog was not. The dog had circled back and had went that way. I said, he's behind there. There's an old restaurant not far from where they were. But it's in the opposite direction of where she thinks this dog is at. And he comes out during the day to root around the trash to see if anything's been dropped or, and he's behind that old restaurant. I said, and there's one of those big old, remember them old silver bands, the vented. I said, it's kind of dirty, it's got grease in it. I said, but that's where he's at. And then I said, all of a sudden, I saw a yellow ball, and I saw a yellow ball bouncing and rolling. And I told her this, and she said, "Well, he's got so many toys that, And I said, "Tell her this. I think it's important." So she told her what I said the next day. And the woman, of course, was just saying, no, he went the other way until a yellow ball actually rolled off a bookcase that she was standing next to and started to bounce in front of her. She got in her car. She went down that way. See, she said there wasn't a restaurant. She had forgotten there was an old restaurant down that way. She pulled in, and guess who was standing there? At the back of the restaurant where the trash was her little dog. But now that's not what I like to do. Okay. I just like human energy. I have only so much of my own energy that I can work with, right? And so much time that I can work with. I will tell you that if I take a case of a missing person, I always take that case without charging. If I would have to travel or something, then just those expenses only. I don't take money for that because that's my way of giving back. It's my way of getting rid of karma. And I'll give you an example. There was this beautiful young girl, and she had disappeared. And I'm not going to say where because if I do, it's just too easy. And I try to keep things private for families because these are tragedies. We forget that. So she disappears. And I said, listen, this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that there's a restaurant, a building, and there's this weird long gravel parking lot right next to it. I said, she's there. She got afraid and she started down that mountain. And I said, she's on that mountain. I know she's on that mountain. And the state police were getting ready to pack up and go home. And the family representative went and said, please, just stay a little longer. She's on this mountain. We had a psychic tell us, I know, but because a lot of cops don't like us because there's so many fake people out there, it angers me. It really does, because you are dealing with people. You are dealing with their souls, their emotions. I mean, this is very serious business in my estimation. So they said, okay, we'll stay a little longer. And I had been telling them that I see something. And I'm being told, I think it was farm gate. Well, they found her just a little later. And she had went through the only opening on that mountain, and it looked like a gate. If you looked at it, it looked like a gate. And she landed right at the fence of a farm. And I had actually used the name too, and I swear I'd have to go back and look at my notes. I'm terrible, but had actually identified the name of the farm. So that's the kind of things that people like me do to try to help individuals. I will tell you one thing too before I give it over to you again, and that is I have never felt pain from a child at the moment of death when I'm because I channel energy. All right, I experience what other people experience, and I call it shadow death. Sometimes like if I'm doing like this, like I was doing with one reading, her mother had died of throat cancer, and I wasn't even aware I was doing that. So I tell people to watch what I'm doing. Right, watch my hands. As you can tell, they have a will of their own. Anyway, there was a little boy who had disappeared where was it? Oh, Pulaski. And I will never forget this. I went over to my friend's house because I always want to have witnesses, all right? Because you can say anything on your own. Get a witness. And I will never forget. Well, it wasn't Pulaski. There were two, but I'm gonna go to another one. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm ADHD. So there was this little boy that disappeared right in the middle of winter. Well, at the beginning of winter, but it had started snowing. And I ran over to my next door neighbor. She was an EMT and knew a lot of people, in the police and all of that sort of thing. And I told her, I said, listen to me, this little boy's missing. He's going to be found dead. I said, and the reason I knew that is I saw snow, and this was before he was found, and I saw like a dark jacket, and I saw snow on that jacket, okay? And I knew that he would be found before or right after the snow had stopped. And he would be found in an area that had already been searched. That's what was distinct about this. And I will never forget that night, the sheriff got on and said, that he had been found, and that he didn't admit to that night, that he'd been found in an area that hadn't been searched before. And I looked at my husband and I said, why is he saying that? Because that little boy was found in an area that had already been searched. The next day, the sheriff got back out there and said, oopsie, my mistake. We had already searched that area, but unfortunately, we had not found the child at that time. So, that's the kind of things that we do. I always question people who do it so glibly, and maybe it's a good thing, because when you have a family in front of you, and you know that the words out of your mouth are going to matter, and you can traumatize people, try at least to make sure that you're as close to right as God is going to give you those answers for, right?
One of the things that I started this show for, obviously, was Bigfoot, because I'm a huge Bigfoot person. But I've always been fascinated. I grew up knowing my grandfather as a child, but he died at a young age, or he died when I was at a young age.
Okay. All right. Can I tell you something? All
Sure.
right. Do you ever feel him? Okay, because when you ask Melissa, do you see anybody? I looked at you. I said, "There's a man with him," and and he was so close to you that he had his hand on your shoulder, and I thought, he knows this man. Nobody even has to. So yes, you just all you need is somebody to say, "Yeah, you're right," and you're right. And you feel this energy, he's decided to be a guide for you. Yeah.
Sometimes, like I said, he died when I was like 3. I still don't know how he died. No, but it's a family secret. He may have been bad at poker and got shot. I don't know. But well, I mean, I don't know. Well,
it's interesting when you say.
I remember he smoked. I remember he smoked Salem's, and every now and then this house. The house next to us is abandoned. The lady is up the hill. There's no way. I'll smell cigarette smoke. And I'm like, okay, I know what this is. So
yeah, well, he's just, it's his way of letting you know he's there. That's it. And yeah, he's just decided to be a guide for you. He's probably, you must have had were you the first grandchild or grandson?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I'm getting. So you see, you have to understand, you are his immortality on this earth, okay? You are mini him. And so, so he didn't get to guide you like he would have loved to have done, right? So he's doing it now. That's what he's doing.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes sense. And like I said, I've always been curious about how he died, why he died, because I was so young.
Well, yeah, I will tell you, whenever you said how he died, I'm not being shown exactly how, but it's like I'm being shown still, like a flash of still. So I don't know if it's a knife, which it kind of reminded me of, or if it's something else. But I would say that that whatever occurred, at the end, there was metal involved. All right. And if we were doing a reading, I'd focus more and get more from him. But this is what is popping.
Okay. No, that's fine. And then the other part of the story is I was a paramedic firefighter for many years. And Amanda, you're going to have to hear the story again. I'm sorry. We responded to a call. We came in as the second unit as backup. And as I am going down the driveway, my sergeant had ran past me. The driver's behind me. This is in slow motion to me at this point.
Right.
There was a voice in my head. I couldn't tell you if it was a male. I couldn't tell you if it was a female. It said, "Don't get bit." And paramedic Glenn, I look up on the front porch. I see these chihuahuas. The other crews are fighting this kid. Well, he was a grown man. They were fighting. He had a mental illness. He wasn't being mean to us per se. And there was a bunch of chihuahuas. And I'm like, okay, tough. Like you said, tough guy, paramedic. I could kick them with my steel-toed boot. No big deal. And I took, I don't know, maybe 2 more steps, and this voice screams in my head, "Don't get bit." And once again, I'm like, what the, and I'm looking around, and all I see is these chihuahuas. And I'm like, okay, still the jocular Glenn. I'm going to punt them with my steel-toed boots. I'm going to give the guy some drugs, knock him out, and we're going to all go out of here happy. About that time, a pit bull grabbed my left hand, and she got me 3 times before I realized it, and she basically ended my career.
Right.
So that was another thing I've always wondered, what in the hell and who in the hell was that in my ear?
Well, it was definitely one of your gods, and that's it's rare to hear a voice raised. Usually, and not preaching at anybody, but in the Bible it says that God's voice is a small voice, right? It's a small, quiet voice, and so usually when we're guided, that's what we're getting. So is the message, and you have to understand that God gave us free will, right? So you had free will to go right on in there and get bit.
I'm a slow learner, I'll tell you that.
But you were being told, don't do this, right? And see, that's what people like me and you all and other people who are guided, we learn to trust that God. If this were to happen again, would you listen to the voice?
Yeah. I just wish you'd said it a little quicker, or maybe been a little clearer. It's behind you, dummy.
Well, that's not, no. What it is, it's about having faith. Okay, it's all about having faith. If I would hear my spirit guide say something like that, trust and believe that I would stop whatever I was doing and I would be aware of my surrounding, because remember when I said spirits don't sit down and have big conversations with you? If any, now I shouldn't say this because somebody might have that telephone to heaven, but when I get a message, it's a message. I have my spirit guide, my main spirit guide is angelic. Angels are not conversationalists. Angels deliver a message. They have a purpose. They deliver it. That's it. And but so what I'm saying is those are the kinds of messages that I would get, right? Like you, right? Don't do this. And so when you get that, don't do that, because you do have free will.
Oh yeah, I learned. I was like I said, a learner. But it did tell me two other things afterwards, because I'm looking down at my hand and it said to me, it's only going to hurt for a little while, which was true. And then it told me, the last thing it said, by this time I'm now arguing with it. I'm like, why do you tell me it's behind me? And And of course, they're still fighting up on the front porch. There's a guy, the cops are running past me. So, there's all kinds of shit going on. And it said, everything's going to be okay. And it was correct. The voice was correct. I survived. I had 3 surgeries. I got use of my hand, and of course, I became a number to the fire department. But everything was okay in the bigger picture. So, but yeah, it sucked. I was a slow learner. I will be the first to tell you that. So my listeners will tell you that I've said that many times. So.
Well, I will tell you, I have, and I know that I don't want to. How do I put this? I don't want to upset, pit bull dog lovers out there, but that is a dog that really does terrify me. It does. The energy is so powerful, and the physical energy. It's like I know that it's something that if it went left, very few people would be able to control it. These are powerful creatures.
Oh yeah, I have
But
one.
just like children, you don't know how they've been raised. You don't know if they've been raised to fight. You don't know if they've been raised to be, someone's baby. I have 2 pit bulls, and of course, they've been raised to be just precious babies.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do train them to fight and be mean, so you never know.
No, and you don't know a dog's past either. Like, I had a friend that had adopted one, and it was the most precious dog. It really was, until the one moment it wasn't. But she had adopted the dog, and the dog had suffered trauma. The thing is, we have 2 big old dogs. Let me tell you, I have 300 pounds that sleeps with me at night. I have 150 pounds.
Now your husband's going to be upset.
Well, no. I tell you what, I hit the jackpot. I have got the most handsome, the most beautiful, inside and out human being, man that anybody could want. And yes, you can tell I adore my husband.
That's
but
awesome.
Let's get back to the dogs. Let me tell you, when I first met him, we met online. I will never forget. He put, I have a dog. No, 2 dogs. I have 2 dogs, and they might sleep with me. Ha ha, like it's a joke. Okay, so now we've got a 150-pound Gertie. She is a Greater Swiss Mountain Dog, and we have a 90-pound, half German Shepherd, half Whippet, which is like a skinny German Shepherd that looks like a Greyhound. And yes, we all squeeze. And listen to this. When we're all squeezed in and we're finally asleep, then the cats come out. We have 2 black cats. One sleeps on my head, one sleeps on his head. We are a pack. I have to change our sheets every 2 or 3 days. It's so bad.
Yeah.
My wife was just
Same
mentioning
here.
Yeah, I grew up around animals. I'm an animal lover. My uncle was a veterinarian, and I used to spend summers with him as a child, going out on large animal calls, and of course, learning things. And if I hadn't been so poor at math, I would have probably went to veterinarian school. Instead, I went to paramedic school. But yeah, anyhow. But yeah, so no, I've never had a fear. Even after that, my wife's got a pit bull. I have a healthy respect, though. For them, and I've seen children and other people be attacked by them. You never think it's going to be you. That's the same if you walk out on the street and you get robbed. You never think it's going to be you. So, but yeah, I should have listened, and next time I will listen. I guarantee you that. Yeah,
you're being guided. I mean, we got Grandpa with you already, so, and you probably have another guide or 2. Most people do. And here's what's really interesting: as you build a relationship with that guide or those guides, it's a faith thing. It really is. It's having faith in what they tell you, and being somebody who, like, I'm a messenger. One time, see, I would have loved to have been a spiritual warrior, right? And so when I was young, I went to my spirit guide and said, "Hey, I'd like to be a spiritual warrior." And the message I got was, "You are a messenger." And I'm like, "Know your place, Pat."
Oh gosh.
Well, our other guest earlier said she knew her role already in life, so it's pretty similar. You know you're a messenger. So
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, I was just so fortunate to have my mother and my grandmother, and so there was never any like bumps in the road or anything. It was just like wee, you know. I mean, things happen all the time. My grandmother worked at Denmark State Hospital. Now, way back in the day, Denmark State Hospital was tuberculosis hospital for colored people, as they used to call things, in Denmark, West Virginia. So we're on the elevator, my sister and I. Now we're making friends with two little kids that are doctor's kids of someone that works there. So they say, let's go down to the morgue. And we're like, yeehaw, because that's what little kids do. So we're down in the morgue and they're pulling out the drawers and stuff, you know. And we're like, okay, yeah, we're going now. Yeah, it was a dark room with drawers. And so we got on the elevator, my sister and I, and a Black doctor got on with us. We will never forget that. He was very distinguished. You know, he had an energy to him and just as solid as he could be. So we're looking at him. He looks at his clipboard. He looks over the clipboard. He acknowledges us with a tilt of the head. Then he goes back. Well, we get off and we go and tell Grandma that we had met the Black doctor on the elevator. He seems really nice. Granny's staring at me and she's saying, Pat, what Black doctor? We don't have any Black doctors here. Well, this is what's really interesting. They had, you know, it has had many lives in those buildings. And so it was being recreated. And I forget what its last recreation was, but they had people in who were rebuilding the inside for their use. And they were reporting the Black doctor in the elevator. And I thought it's actually online. If you Denmark State Hospital, you know, Black Doctor Ghost or something like that, it will come up. And just fascinating. So yeah, it gets to be so much a part of your life that you really don't think about it. It just is what it is. It's my life, right? And just like it's you know, something that would be common to you becomes just kind of commonplace, even though it's uncommon to others.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a crazy idiot. I run into burning buildings, so yeah, I get it.
Yeah, well, the swagger. Yeah.
I get it.
Well, and you're exactly right. I mean, that's something that wouldn't be normal to me, right? And you, when you're running into those buildings, you know what to look for. You know how to prepare for that, you know, so that you have the best chance of survival. Someone like me, how much time do we have? Because I don't want to go over for you. Okay, I think we have
You're
time
good.
for this.
You're good.
Okay, I'm going to give you an example because people have to know if there's light, there's darkness, there's male, there's female. There's always the duality of everything in the universe, or most things in the universe, correct? Certain things that matter. So when we start talking about energy, positive energy, God, the angels, you know, all of the good things, then we have to look at negative energy, whatever you want to call it, the devil, negative energy, whatever the names are in all of our languages on earth for negative energy. There's always this balance. One time I was actually called by a young man, and he said, I know your daughter, and she knew me, you know, in school, and she was very kind to me when others were not so kind. And I'm like, oh, the mom thing. And he said, I understand that you're a psychic and medium. What can you tell me about myself? That minute, I was standing in hell. Again, claircognizance, knowing. It's dark. It's like there's this spotlight above me, and so it's lighting, right? And it's a burnished black granite is what it felt like and looked like. But at the end of that was darkness. It was nothingness. This was the gateway to hell. And all of a sudden, I'm pulled back and I'm back in my body. And he said, you know, he said something and it clicked something and away I went. I was back in hell standing there. This time though, there is a dragon's head that comes out of the void. And I'll never forget this. It starts to go back and forth. The head goes back and forth and it opens its mouth and the mouth is yellow and the tongue is red. and it screamed its name. It said, "My name is Lavaya," and I don't say names of power like that. Never say a demon's name, okay? It's like leaving breadcrumbs. Remember that. All right. So I was clicked back in, and he said, "Oh," he said, "that makes sense. His sigil is under my bed." A sigil, for those that don't know, is a magical symbol that represents something. In this case, Levia. At that second, I'm back in hell again, and here he is. He's like this. He's the supplicant, raising of the arms, and he deliberately falls back into the void. And so the mom and me took over and said, "I can save him." Yeah. So I went to my spirit guide and I said, "What can be done?" And there was nothingness. See, again, they're not great conversationalists. For me, no is no answer. Okay. In other words, this is above your pay grade. Do not interfere. Do not get involved. But I did because I was a mom and I thought I could bring this young man over to the light. And so he called me like every day, every other day. He was constantly calling, and I was telling him, "Oh, you have to be aware that you can change things that may have happened in the past as far as your reactions to them. Don't be angry. Do things that's going to make you a better person." And you know what I'm saying? All the things. Well, this went on for months, and all of a sudden he says, "I'm going to Whitesburg, Kentucky, to a restaurant bar, and I'm going to draw sigils on the wall and cover them up and trap souls." And I said, "Oh, don't do that. You don't want to do that, right? Because if you do, consider this, your own soul will be permanently trapped. Do not do this." And so I forgot about the conversation. And a month or so later, I get a call from Whitesburg, Kentucky. You can't make this stuff up. I get a call from Whitesburg, Kentucky. And it said, "We want you to come and do a gallery reading at a restaurant bar here." That's what it is. And because I have ADHD and I have already left all the information behind, didn't put two and two together. And I said, "Sure, I'll come up." I went up to Whitesburg, Kentucky, and walked in, and I felt the energy, man. It hit me really weird. It was just so weird and off. And it was like nobody had ever heard of a gallery reading, including the person that had booked me. Like, what is going on here? So these are good people. I mean, these are my people, my Appalachian people, and I'm not going to disappoint them. So I sit there from 7 o'clock at night to 4:30 in the morning reading. Guess who my last read was? Yeah, little feller had come out, I guess, to wish me a grand bon voyage. So I leave 4:30 in the morning. I'm driving away, and if anybody knows anything about Whitesburg, Kentucky, there is absolutely nothing on that road between Whitesburg and Norton, Virginia. So I start driving up the road, and I see something out of the. Remember, I told you that good vision, peripheral vision. I'm like, "What is that?" So I look over. And I saw, see, when I see negative energy, it looks like a small, like a hurricane, only black. Okay, that energy and it's swirling, it's masked. I'd never seen anything like that in my life. Never have I seen anything like that in my life. So immediately I get physically sick. So thank goodness there's a bag on the floor. So I'm driving because I'm not about to stop. Get that bag, and so I'm sick all the way down the road. And then all of a sudden I look over and it's not there. And I'm like, "Okay, then, Well, I drive on down the road, few miles, and there is a straight piece of road, maybe 3/4 of a mile or so, right? Guess what's at the end of that road? I'm telling you, this is an archangel, okay, one of the fallen. And I am like, "Holy Hannah," I knew I was in trouble. And so I prayed. I said, I did it in a moment. I said, "God," I said, "divine energy, your daughter is going to die tonight," because I knew that claircognizance that if I went through that energy and I did not have divine intervention, I was going to die that night. And all of a sudden, it was like thunder, like this, and then this crack of lightning. And then all of a sudden it was like everything got super, super, super white, right? And when I woke up, I was miles down the road, still driving and still sick. And that young man never contacted me again. Now, years ago, I was told it was not my place to read about devils or demons or angels, that I had to have faith, right? And so I really don't have a large knowledge of those sorts of things. And so I asked a friend of mine who's a demonologist, I said, listen, I said, what happened here? I am confused, what happened? This young man has not called me not once since then. And he said, Pat, he said, that night, this young man had sent to collect you, and it was thwarted in the attempt. And when it went back to him, it was not happy. He said, when you work with demons, you get, it could be very, very ugly if there's a failure. And so that's how I know it was him, because he never called me again. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, there are energies out there. Be aware of that. Just don't go running out because it's a cool thing to do now, and open yourself up. That is insane to me. And I'm telling you, I think that's why we're seeing some. But if you look at especially seers, psychics, mediums, people who work with the spirit realm, if their heart isn't pure in it, if they really haven't been led to it, if they have no protection, so to speak, you can start to see mental illness develop. I don't know. That's why I always say, before you go out, before you do what you think you were destined to do, make sure that you have some help from the other realm, because going it alone is not something I would recommend to anyone.
I agree.
Lots of protection needed.
Yes, always.
Well, Pat, yeah, we're keeping you over too. Tell everybody where they can get information about you, buy your books, all that good stuff, because we want you to pimp yourself too while you're here. I mean, obviously.
Well, alrighty. I hope I don't get in trouble for this after that word there. But anyway, no, I'm kidding. If you want to find my books, you can find them on Barnes & Noble. You can find them on Amazon, online retailers around. Believe me, they're everywhere. My latest book, let's see, I got a couple. Actually, this is my latest book. It is Lunar Manifesting, and it is Moon Magic, Mirror Magic, and the Witch's Ladder. If you're interested in any kind of magic, this is probably one of my favorite books, which is Appalachian Granny Witch Magic. And the reason is I usually write as a journalist, because I was a journalism instructor at a college, and also worked as a journalist. So that one's more personal. And then, because I have to mention it, this is a book of poetry. I love poetry. This is called Boneyard Voice, Poems and Photographs from the Edge of Darkness. And it's actually, modeled after the old graveyard poets, and then fast forward to Edgar Allan Poe. So that sort of thing. So those are three. So if you want to get a hold of me, you can go to my website, which is Pat, and it's under, the thing, bizarre O'Keefe, I'm sorry, O'Keefe.com, or go to my photography site, which is PatO'KeefePhotography.com.
Okay, we'll try and put that all in the after show comments too. And we did have one of our regular viewers ask, Pat, are places haunted or are people haunted?
Hi, Salty Dog. And I saw your hi. I was going to say hi back and just didn't get to. I think it can be an either or kind of thing. I think that there are people that are haunted. Think about it. If I always wondered how somebody like Ted Bundy could sleep at night, because I would be seeing those people. But you have to understand that Ted Bundy is a psychopath, and for someone like me, that means that he's literally soulless. When I encounter a psychopath, a true psychopath, and don't forget, psychopaths are extremely successful in places like business. They're scions of business because they'll do anything to get ahead. Religious organizations, they often rise to the top, the very top. They will do things that other people will not do in order to assure their own success. You know, we've got people in law enforcement and the military. Those are the big four. They love to go for those kinds of positions. So if you have a lack of soul, so to speak, or a lack of conscience, a lack of anything dealing with spirit, divine force, then you probably aren't going to think about that. But as far as people being haunted, I think you can be haunted. I think that it's definitely up to the spirit whether or not they're going to haunt you. So it can be more than just, the house is haunted. A spirit can be drawn to you. And there's actually, I wish I could remember the name, but there was a man way back in the day, and I think it was the Today Show, and he worked with a monkey. It was back in the day. Anyway, there are some people that say that this man was literally haunted to death. So, he may have been the first man who was. So yes, I truly do believe that an individual can be haunted, because think of this: you have items in a house that can be attached to spirit, right? An item. So why not a human? And one more thing. I had a friend who had a daughter who was going to adopt a child. And I will never forget this. She told me, she said, Pat, she said, I think my house is haunted. I said, do tell me what's going on. And she said that she went by the little girl's room and she heard voices in the room. But when she walked into the room, the little girl was in the middle of the room. Her eyes were rolled back. Her hands were out like this in supplicant position. And as soon as she walked into the room, nothing. There were no voices. Now, this is interesting. I want to explain this, all right? Whenever I went to visit one time, she was 9 months old. She was sitting on a table, and all of a sudden, there's, like I told you, dimensions of time and space. Time flipped, and I saw this woman as she was in her last lifetime. And I was told by spirit, she chooses not to change. She would destroy all of those within her sphere. And so I'm hearing, and this woman's looking at me. I mean, we have locked eyes now, and I can tell she's very blousy. Someone that's just about self and what she wants, and will hurt anybody to get what she wants. And I mean, low level stuff like hanging out at the bar and leaving her kids at home alone when they're 2 and 3, that kind of stuff. So anyway, all of a sudden, she puts her hand on this salt cellar and shoots a massive salt cellar, and she starts to push it off. And I hear it's like down a corridor or a hallway or a tunnel. Don't you do that. Don't you do that. And all of a sudden, that thing went flying off the salt cellar. And when it hit the floor and bounced, it broke. It broke whatever this was. It was like back together, time and space. And so I told my friend, because it's the claircognizance, I said, if she stays for, I think it was 1.5 years with your family, there will be 3 people who will die in your family. And 2 people died before the child was, the family that had originally had her decided they wanted her and went to court and got her back. And so there were 2 people in my friend's family that had passed, and one so tragically and so weirdly that, I mean, and I don't want to go into that. Yeah. So what I'm saying is there are so many dimensions to the paranormal levels, and we cannot wrap our minds around them. So a haunted person is a very easy thing. If a doll in Annabelle can be truly haunted, then believe me, any of us could be haunted. Yes.
Wow. You're going to have to come back.
Oh. Thank you. I take that as a compliment.
Well, no, I mean, you're my people. So yeah, you got to come back.
Yeah, we love the unusual, don't we?
Yes, love them.
Yes, and I
Usually.
know Amanda does too.
We're
Yeah.
from
Oh
the
yeah, Shay and I are already like over here chatting about having you on Monday night.
There
Okay.
you go.
I look forward
There
to it.
you go.
All right.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go for tonight because it's late, and I told you about
I
an
know you
hour.
would.
But we will have you back soon. The girls may have you back even sooner, but you're welcome. You've got to know. There's very few people that have an open invitation. You have an open invitation anytime you want to just pop on. Just let
Oh,
me know.
thank you
So
so much.
yeah, you can find us on Facebook. If you see something that looks interesting, let me know. I'll kick Amanda off for you. It's not that big of a deal.
No, we
I'm
gotta have
glad we get
Amanda.
for Pat.
Love you guys. Thank you all so much.
All right,
Love
Pat.
you
Have a
too,
great
Pat.
evening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Oh,
It
oh,
was a
she's
great show.
great.
She
Yes,
is. She is. And she's so dang knowledgeable.
yes.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I could talk to her like for hours on end.
oh, I don't even think I opened the first 5 pages of questions I would have for her. You know?
Right? Yeah.
So, oh, Salty, you're come back on Monday night and we'll see if we can get you an answer on that. I guess it was a little delayed. But yeah, come back on Monday night. We'll try and get you an answer to that. Shay or Amanda can look into that for you. Are we the victims of a timeline jump? That's a pretty common question here recently because of what's going on. So
Yeah.
that was a great show. Salty, you're killing it. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
My allergies were just killing me. I was just struggling.
I know I've been having to like my eyes are watering, my nose is starting to run. I think it's where it's starting to warm up.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
well, let's see. We've got a Misfits on Saturday night. Oh, thank you, Chris. Chris said she was fascinating to listen to. So we have a Misfits on Saturday night. Salty, go tell all your salty friends and come on over. Chris, bring your friends. So yeah, we have a Misfits Saturday night. And then of course, if you don't know, I'm doing the daily show now at 1:00 Eastern. And it's just basically, it's not political. It's just kind of what's going on in the world. It's not, but it's not world politics or anything like that. You can get that on Fox, CNN, or wherever. So I'm not interested in that. So, but yeah, come over, check it out, and I will get sidetracked and rant. So yeah, Chris rails me. So, but yeah, so we've got that coming up tomorrow morning. I'm also, if you are not into listening to me talk on forever, I'm on the Thin Line Rock Station, www.thethinlinerockstation.com from noon to 2 o'clock tomorrow Eastern time, playing music and telling tales in between songs. So you can check that out as well. And yeah, it's yeah, Chris says, check out Glenn's Daily Show for a kick-ass relaxing wind map in 3D glow. I think it's pretty damn amazing. So I could just sit and look at that thing. It's pretty damn amazing. So I try not to preach the fake news sometimes, but I did kerfuffle some fake news early in my show. So he's not listening to me, I know. So but yeah, we have a good time. And so yeah, check it out. Amanda, I know you're busy at work and you can't, but I wish you could. But
I try to sneak it in there.
Tell your boss you need your lunch break from 1 till 2, so it's all good. So, and Salty says, you are of this realm in the best way. See, Salty's not that bad.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's killing me.
I'm just me. What you see is what you get.
That was the problem. You're just killing me earlier. All right. I love you, fans. You are amazing. Thank you to Yerg's Radio at yergsradio.com, Rainbow Radio, of course, the Bigfoot Radio Network. We will be soon, all of the shows will soon be on Radio X in Australia. We may, in fact, already be on the Florida station. Damn it, I still haven't looked up your call signs. I'm so sorry. It's been a day. You guys want to? You're supposed to keep me on keep me on task. But yeah, so thank you to them. Yeah, that's bad. We're no longer partnered with WEJY, so we left them. So, but we are still on WRFN. I don't know that this show will make it to WRFN. Amanda, we've got to get that noise fixed. Holy cow!
Is it still happening?
Oh my God! There are times during the show it was so loud in my headphones. So yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, so this one won't make FM. Yeah, this one's not going to make FM. I can't edit that out. It was so loud.
Oh my gosh! We were hearing on Monday night. I could actually hear, but I'm not hearing anything right now.
It literally, like Chris said, it sounded like a lion. It really did at times. So
that's weird.
Yeah, go back and listen.
Get on here and try to test it out or something.
Yeah, play with it and figure it out. We'll figure it out. But yeah, we got to get it figured out for the FM station and for UX. So, Salty, thank you. He loves soul. I'll give you your phone number if you want. Just message me. All right, guys and gals, we are out of here. Anything you got to say, Amanda?
Join us Monday night for Two Broke Witches. Make your plans for Townsend, Tennessee. We'll be there May 3rd. Come hang out with us.
Sounds good. Yeah, we're going to catch Bigfoot while we're there. I am. I don't know if you are. Right. That's the whole goal. Going to interview him. I told you about a new camera for this just to test it.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, the instructions are in Chinese. It's got like 12 buttons on it. I'm like, what the? Oh, it wasn't Timu. Everybody have a great night. We will see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Good night.